This is a turning point for the character of Tariq. And I don't want people to take this scene lightly because of how the episode ends up. But I am telling you, every decision he makes from this point on for this season and season 4, we're going to link it back to the moment he decided that he wanted to go out of the game. Just like how we can trace how Ghost's character arc changed when he wanted to go legit and he wanted to break out of the game. We saw how things changed for him and his story. Hey everyone, Just Be here, and I'm going to be recapping the most recent episode of Power Book 2 Ghost. This is Season 3, Episode 6, The Land of Lies. Let's hop right into it. Yeah, a lot happened in this episode, but I really enjoyed it. I think that it was a good pickup of the pace of what we've been seeing from this past season, that things have just kind of been going along. But I think now we're starting to see things come to a head and move a little bit quicker. So let's start off here with R.I.P. Lorenzo Tejada. I mean, I called it in my book 2 season 3 trailer video when I reacted to that. I said it's a wrap for him this season. And in the last episode, they clipped him. But we saw that coming, though. And not they didn't clip it. Monet clipped him, right? And it was so obvious that they were leading up to that. And I'm going to miss him because he was one of those presences on the show that really gave you that OG power feeling of someone from the street, a real masculine figure who is someone to, represent what Ghost and Tommy and Cane and those, kind of brought to the whole experience. And now he's out, and now we just got to deal with the teeny boppers, right? But I think we knew that this was going to happen with Lorenzo because of how they were building it up so quickly. Now, Monet was the one who set it up in the last episode. She let the guy, Gordo, who is Drew's love interest this season, is the one that clipped Lorenzo. And he did it just like how he said he was going to do it. When he said that I would love to slit the throat of the guy that deleted my father, I knew exactly how Lorenzo was going to go out. Because the writers on Power were poetic in that way. So R.I.P. Lorenzo. And now we're going to have to see the fallout of what happens when you lose the head of the family. And now the kids are going to wonder, what's next? Who did this? And they're looking for revenge. A good callback to the fact that now Agent Young, who is also Angela Valdez's nephew, Paz's son, who is Angela's sister, he's also in this scene. And they keep dripping him in different scenes. And I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to it. We might see it as a cameo. We might see it as, it's the guy, right? But I think they're being strategic with the way they're trying to place him in there. He's not just there for no reason, right? I think that he is probably someone that really is going to be, we're going to find out, committed to taking down this drug organization. The last time we saw him, he was with Blanca just one-on-one, investigating the shootout that happened. Now you see him here with Monet and Blanca and some other agent. So now they're really bringing him into the fold very quickly. And I think he has an agenda that he wants to maybe get revenge in some way for, what happened to his family. But it's not Tariq's fault, so I don't get it. Maybe he just has a personal agenda against drugs and not wanting to see, this drug game continue on the streets. So we'll see what happens. But he's not just there, unintentionally. So now we see all the other kids are progressing, and we're seeing how they're receiving the news and whatever they're doing at the time, right? So with this particular scene here, right, here's why I found this particular scene so funny. So we start off with Diana and Salim, they're in bed and they're getting it on. Cane is playing poker at the penthouse with a couple of his friends, and he's enjoying himself. Everyone's all relaxed and living life and thinking things are good. Drew is focusing on his art. Looks like he's drawing a picture of Gordo in his sketchbook, and everyone one by one starts to get text messages about what happened to their dad. But I want to go back to the scene with Diana and Salim because I thought this was pretty funny, right? So the reason this particular scene, I find it quite funny, was because there was this meme going around on Twitter and Facebook this week before this episode came out. And let me show you the picture of what this person put out. So this person sent 50 Cent a message on IG, and they were like, 50, my boy, we got Lauren, Effie, Diana, Brashandria, hell, even Mary J. We can't see none of them cheeks getting clapped, or some. But every single week we got to see Drew. So they literally just posted this, I think it was this week. And when this episode came out, we saw a scene with Diana. I'm not saying that's connected at all, but I just thought it was funny that, that's what the first scene we kind of got when the episode started. It was the first scene we got next to what happened with Monet after the episode started. So that was pretty funny. I think Diana's reaction to her dad's passing was probably the most emotional one of the whole episode, because they were really building, particularly within episode 5, you could see that bond that they had. He was really committed to building that up and really trying to connect with her again. And not just because of the business, but because of that's his daughter and he loves her. She's definitely the one that's the most distraught when they get the news. Now we fast forward to Tariq and Effie. Tariq, who in the previous episode found out that Lauren's still alive, and Lauren told him everything. So now he is gonna go full JSP, James St. Patrick, right? So I think that we're seeing him, emulate his dad now and giving off that energy and that vibe. Like, I don't trust nothing you saying. I'm about to go full on ghost because you are not the person I thought that you were, and you can't be trusted. So for those who don't know, should know at this stage, but Effie was responsible, or she thought that she had actually gotten rid of Lauren in the season 2 finale, but Lauren's actually been in witness protection since then, and she came out of it and revealed herself to Tariq. So Tariq is the only person that knows this at this particular time, but his whole energy now is that he just doesn't trust Effie, and it's sad because I love these two together, man. They're cool. They're cool. That relationship going, nice vibe, and I don't like it, but this is the hole that Effie dug for herself, but out of love, though, for Tariq. That's the crazy part about it. This kind of reminds me of what happened with Angie and James in book 1, whereas Angie literally was trying to help compromise her career to help save Ghost and his family and his kids at one point, and he couldn't understand it to an extent. And, she ended up paying the price in the end. Effie's asking Tariq what's up, and he is not having it. Like, he is trying to keep that dichotomy of himself. Like, one part of me, I'm good, and the other part of it is like, sis, I got something for you. So we fast forward along. Other people are now starting to hear about what happened to Lorenzo, and now they're starting to inquire about, what's going on there. So Davis isn't necessarily too surprised by it. He kind of just looks at his phone, and he's like, oh, okay, that happened. So now fast forward, Davis is now interrogating Saxe and asking, hey, have you heard anything that's happened with the Lauren Baldwin case? Because Tariq is saying that they're investigating him regarding it. So Saxe has now got to play dumb, and Davis is starting to catch on a little bit to what Saxe has got going on. Saxe tries to change the conversation into focusing on his brother, that being Davis's brother, and you can see, look in Davis's eye, he's just like, something's not right here. And I think he's a smart and sharp guy, so he's going to figure it out sooner or later. We see here Lauren's now waking up at home in her bed, comfortable, and she then remembers everything that happened the night before, her talking to Tariq and confessing everything about how she was in witness protection and what Effie did to her. So then she goes downstairs, and lo and behold, who is there? Jenny Sullivan got the key to Lauren's house. She moved her parents out of there out of fear for their lives and to protect them. But really and truly, it's to kind of control Lauren at this stage. So she got access to the house, and now she's confronting Lauren and trying to convince Lauren to come back with her into witness protection because it's not safe. But Lauren's not having it. She said, Saxe said that you cannot keep me here against my will. And honestly and truly, I said this before, I do think they're writing the character of Lauren into a corner. I don't know what else there is left for her to do on the show beyond this moment. Like, how do you get out of this? People in power who are, CIs or snitches, you don't last. So I don't know how this is going to work. I'm concerned for the longevity of her character on this show. So Effie and Tariq get the class, and he basically tells her that, look, I want to take you out somewhere later, and that's what's on my mind. And so we're now going to see what happens next. But basically now we're getting into the classroom scene, and you guys know how I feel about this, but I'm going to warm up to it a little bit more. This is typically the monologue that sets the tone for the rest of the episode. So the professor starts to talk about deception and cover-ups and lies, which obviously, like I said, fits into the theme of what's happening today. So the teacher starts off saying, what is truth in this era of fake news? Does truth even matter? And we know that they're trying to get us to understand the different levels of what's happening between the characters right now on the show. There are so many lies that are entangled, and that's the essence of power. It's lies, right? Like one lie built upon another lie, and it creates a whole spider web, and it's a mess until bodies just begin to drop. So then Effie goes on to say in one of her rebuttals to the question that there's no such thing as universal truth, to which I say, let's back up for a second. If we're saying there's no such thing as universal or absolute truth, my question to you is that absolutely true? It's a claim that you can turn on itself. So yes, there is absolute truth. And yes, there is universal truth. We all know what it is. It's all embedded in our hearts. But, that's a bigger conversation than this episode would allow me to talk about. So fast forward, we're now at the Tejada household, and the whole family is there, and they're sad and they're angry and they're frustrated. They want to know what happened to their father. Now, at this table, you see Cane visibly upset, you see Diana upset, and you see Drew upset, but you see Monet is just kind of like flat, right? And so that is something that Cane picks up on, and he starts to question her on. He's like, what really happened? Did you take him out? Like, he says it without directly saying the words, but then she accuses him of not believing that she would not do something like that. And so Cane just kind of looks at her like, I see what you got going on here. I'm on to you. So I think Cane is going to be the one to come in clutch this season. I got to say, the actor that plays Cane, Woody, I really see him breaking out this season. From a character development standpoint, I see the progression from season 1 to now with his character. So kudos to him, man. So in the next scene, Tariq confronts Brayden and he just punches him, right? As soon as he comes out of the elevator, and is basically asking him, what did you do to Lauren? And so they're going back and forth at it, and they're fighting each other. And it's very, very hilarious to watch these two fight. And it's also kind of sad because I know that in real life, these guys are best friends, and you see them on the Crew Has It podcast and all that. So it was a funny scene, but Brayden basically confesses to everything, and Tariq adds up the rest of what went wrong, and then he now proceeds to go and confront Effie about it. But I gotta say, Tariq got a good couple swings in here. A good couple swings. Like, he looks like he daddy. Anyway, so now we see Tariq, he's whipping whatever he's whipping. I think it's a Maserati or something, though, but it's a different car than the one he had the last time. And he's doing well for himself. Now, I'm just curious, though. Are these rentals or what? Because you're flashing the money at this stage. Like, the fact that no one's asking questions is crazy. But he does go to an elite university, so maybe they believe that he has access to his trust. I don't know. Who knows? But if anyone started looking deeper into these things and asking questions, you'd be surprised what they came up with. But here's Tariq. Him and Effie are taking a ride through the country, and he's whipping the top back. But what Effie doesn't know is that Tariq is actually driving her somewhere familiar. So now Tariq gives her another opportunity to confess once more, to which she does not. She goes on to start to talk about her childhood and her upbringing and the issues she had with her mother and the guys that she would bring around and how they would sexually assault her. And it's a terrible situation that shouldn't happen to anyone. And you would think that in that moment, Tariq would have more remorse. He just kind of shrugs it off and said, that's sad, whatever, but are you sure there's nothing else that you want to tell me? To which Effie's kind of taken aback by, and then she catches herself. And she's like, wait a second. This road's familiar. Where are we going? So then Tariq pulls up to the exact same spot where Effie tossed Lauren and the car into the water. He tells her to get out the car and tells her the truth. So Effie then confesses and is very, very sorry. But Tariq is just like, how could you do this? How could you betray me? Do you understand like the ramifications that what you did is going to come down on me? Like the feds looking into me now. And I think that's what no one's really thinking about. I think the ripple effects of what happened when we make certain decisions, I don't think people on this particular show like this, the characters, are really, really thinking about it in depth. And so sometimes they make decisions based off of emotion, such like Monet. Monet made the decision off of emotion, off of, revenge, but she didn't think about how this is going to come back to her. What do you think is going to happen when the kids find out that you took out their dad? Like, someone in the family of criminals you're raising is going to take revenge on you. More than likely the one that you rejected the most, being Cane. But coming back to Tariq and Effie for a second, Effie begins to tear up and she's really pleading with Tariq, and Tariq basically ends things with her and leaves her there to walk back. And I'm pretty sure it's a long way back from New York. So that was kind of cold. I mean, no matter what happened to Tariq, that's ice cold though, I'm not gonna lie. The way in which this scene is set up between them in this confrontation, it really gave me like Ghost vibes. Like, he was really, really like giving off Ghost vibes. And I think that's intentional though. They do like that parallel and that contrast between Tariq and his dad. So yeah. The thing is, Effie really loves Tariq. And so I understand that he's upset, and rightfully so, but I don't think he's really properly understanding that what she did out of love. He's just really upset at the fact that now the feds are looking into me again. I think he's hurt that you lied to him. I think that's what it is, that you lied to him, Effie. And I think if you were just honest about it up front and just kind of told him, I think things would be different. So Saxe goes and visits Lauren at home, and it seems to be that this is what Jenny convinced him to do. She told him to go and do that to get Lauren back on their side so she can confess and corroborate as part of the RICO case. And so Saxe then begins to tell Lauren that we need you to stick to the story. But Lauren's trying to convince him that I don't think Tariq is guilty of anything. I think he's innocent. And she begins to now explain it. But the problem is, Saxe knows Tariq's history. So Saxe now begins to tell her his history about how he was first working in the DA's office trying to get Ghost back in book 1, and how basically his entire family groomed him into becoming this criminal, which isn't true because everyone actually didn't want that life for Tariq. Tariq wanted that life for himself. But needless to say, Saxe doesn't know that. He continues to give Lauren the rundown of all the criminal activities that Tariq has been a part of, and she's just shocked. And he tells her that Tariq is even responsible for what happened to Reno. And to that, she is just wowed. Yeah, when Lauren hears all of this, you can see she begins to just kind of change her mind about Tariq a little bit. And she saw Tariq as her, college boyfriend. And to find out that he's this criminal, I wouldn't say mastermind. I wouldn't call him a mastermind, right? But he's just this criminal, right? And he's providing the evidence. So you can see now her perception of Tariq's going to change, and it'll be interesting to see how the dynamic plays out with them. So Brayden and Effie try to come to the spot where they have no cap, no frap, and basically the bodyguard's telling them you can't come in. Tariq said, no go, you guys are done. So this is now going to start a domino effect of going back and forth of denying each other access throughout the episode. Cane tells Tariq that they cannot be out of the business, they being Brayden and Effie, and they need to basically figure their stuff out. Because all these personal feelings that everyone has going on, Noma still wants her money. So we need to figure this out ASAP. Back at the Tejada household, looks like they're having some sort of wake for Lorenzo, and family and friends are around. And you can see all these people around are, like I said, maybe from the streets. These are people that they roll with back in the day, people they still are affiliated with. They got some soldiers there. They're just there to support the family in this time of grieving. And this scene gets hilarious real quickly, because apparently one of the ways in which they have wakes is they give money, right? I don't have any problem with it. Funerals are expensive, but I thought that was funny. But this guy here, so he is like, where's your mom? Right? He sees Monet and he is like, yeah, I would like to comfort her. And he says it right in front of Drew and Kane. So, that's also a reminder of the fact that now they're kind of exposed, right? When I say exposed, before in season 1, before Lorenzo was out, remember they were having trouble kind of keeping up security as it relates to the Tejada name. Now that he's gone, like, that's just an opening, and people don't necessarily respect Kane as some sort of head honcho the way that we know him to be as cold-blooded. But I think what's going to happen now here is if they got enemies and people see an opening, they're going to go ahead and take it. And the reason for that is because the protector, as far as everyone else is concerned, is gone. And Drew's now upset because he's now calling out the fact that that guy just openly disrespected not just Monet, but the whole family. But he says what everyone's thinking is that the streets need a body, right? Who's going to answer for Lorenzo's deletion? So Drew is heated and he's not stopping until he finds the person responsible. So now Tariq goes to the cemetery to visit Raina's burial site and basically starts talking and saying, look, I wish you were here. There's no one I can trust anymore. Things are so messed up and I don't know what to do. After he's then confronted by his grandmother, who is also coming there to lay flowers. And if you guys don't remember, Tariq is responsible for Grammy getting that court order to go to rehab back in season 2. And that's something he had to do in order for him to help out his younger sister Yaz to get back with his mom. But this conversation, in my opinion, is probably one of the biggest conversations that happened, not just in this episode, but I think it's going to be probably one of the biggest conversations that happens this season. And the reason for that is now Big Mama is trying to let Tariq know if he doesn't get off the path that he's on now, he's going to end up just like his father. And Tariq agrees, surprisingly. I want you guys to understand something. The point in which in these shows, whether it was OG Power, whether it's Snowfall, the point in which the main character decides to go legit or wants to get out of the game is typically now the next phase of that character's journey. What that means is the Tariq we're probably going to see in episodes to come is not going to be the same Tariq we've seen to date. This is someone who's always wanted to, what did he say? I think it was like season 5 or season 6 of OG Power. Like, teach me the MFing game, Ghost. Like, he wanted to know the game. Now Tariq's in the game and he doesn't want to be a part of it anymore because he realizes that the people around him are people he cannot trust. So he's hurt by that fact alone, and that is something that he has a conversation with Big Mama on and saying that, look, yeah, maybe I need to get out of the game. Can you help me? This is a turning point for the character of Tariq. And I don't want people to take this scene lightly because of how the episode ends up. But I am telling you, every decision he makes from this point on for this season and season 4, we're going to link it back to the moment he decided that he wanted to go out of the game. Just like how we can trace how Ghost's character arc changed when he wanted to go legit and he wanted to break out of the game. We saw how things changed for him in his story. So now Drew and Gordo are having a conversation. Drew believes that the Russians are responsible for taking out Lorenzo, and he wants to go ahead and get revenge. Gordo is trying to convince him, I don't think that's the best idea. Have you talked to Kane about it? And Drew is like, this is something I got to do on my own, right? I got to get revenge for my papi. But unbeknownst to Drew, the person responsible for clipping Lorenzo is sitting right next to him. And Gordo goes on to say, I get it. I would do the same thing for the person who took out my father. Now we are back at Stansfield, and Diana seems to be having a little too much to drink in her dorm room with the rest of her classmates. And I saw this, what happens next? I saw this coming as soon as she opened that door and she was smiling. Remember, Diana and Tariq had a little thing going on, you know? I think it was season 1. Yeah, had a little thing going on. Don't forget that. Yeah, he was out here doing his thing with a lot of them. So Simpy Salim now comes back with flowers to apologize to Diana. And everyone who's leaving the room goes on and tells him, bruh, focus on yourself, eh? Like, focus on you, bro. Yeah, well, no, they overtly just tell him what's going on. They tell him, yeah, she nailed the guy. But you should focus on yourself, bro. And out of all Tariq's love interests, I gotta say, I do think he has the most chemistry with Diana. Am I thinking about that correctly? No, second most. I think he has the most chemistry with Effie. Second would be Diana. Third would be Lauren. So these two start having a conversation, and he wants her to help him out, maybe move some product on campus. And she's like, no, you know, my poppy, you know, he didn't want me doing that anymore, so I want to honor him by staying out of that business. And Tariq is like, okay, that's cool. I understand that. I respect that. And afterwards, a bong chicka bong. It ain't long until they started getting it on. I was like, Tariq is one cat who can get some tail, bro. Like, jeesh. That boy like he daddy. Anyway, so now Drew's breaking into somewhere where the Russians are at, and he's undercover, and he's now trying to go take revenge. So Drew walks into the next room, and he finds the Russian that he thinks is responsible for his dad's death, and Gordo is in the other room also helping to set up this operation. Then Drew goes ahead and clips this unsuspecting Russian criminal element who he thinks is responsible, but they're really not. And it's the person that literally just walked into the room with him. Man, Drew, you gotta, come on, man. You should know. You should know. Like, he basically said it, but you just gotta be perceptive enough to be able to understand, bro. Like, come on. Anyways, this is gonna cause a whole blowback because now you go out there and you're now, you know, deleting Russians from another gang. Like, do you guys even have the soldiers to deal with the fallout from that? Like, you don't. So why go ahead and do that? But he's being emotional and he's not thinking straight. And that's why Gordo asked him if he don't want to talk to Cane about it. He knew if he talked to Cane would tell him the same thing. Like, we can't deal with a war, but Drew's emotional about it right now. He doesn't care. He just wants revenge. So this is going to come back to bite them hard. So Effie comes to Diana's room and starts to ask her, hey, can we work together? Because I'm on the outs with Tariq right now and I need to make some money. To which Diana then opens the door a little bit more and shows her, yeah, I just slept with your man. So that's not something that was cold. I'm not gonna lie, that was cold. I wasn't expecting Tariq to still be there though. I thought it's like after the fact. I look at this put, oh hey Effie, hey. Listen, these kids are ice cold, bro. Like, poor Effie. Like, she just looked broken hearted after that. Effie literally did this for Tariq, but Tariq doesn't like liars. That's the thing. This is a whole mess. So now in the previous scene between Tariq and Diana, he agreed to let her stash her product that her dad left her, that she was moving to the candy store, in their lockers. But Diana doesn't realize that this area is now being covered by cameras. So how this is going to now play out is going to be super interesting because she's now probably one of the first people to be caught on camera stashing stuff. So this was an interesting scene because it wasn't clear to me that what he was doing in the moment, him being Tariq, was that he was actually going to meet up with his grandma at that moment to leave the life. I didn't make that out because the bag was so small and he was just kind of dressed normal. I would expect a little bit, at least like a suitcase or something else, right? But, you know, I didn't add 1 and 2 until it was a bit later. And I said, oh, that's what they were doing. Okay. But Tariq was apparently trying to leave the life. And so he's making his way, you know, to the subway to go meet up with Big Mama. But he doesn't know that he's being followed by one of Noma's guys. So how they knew what was going on, I have no idea. But I feel like it just kind of throw them in there to remind us that, hey, we still got a villain for the season, y'all. Don't worry. We still got some villains going on here. There's still a big bad. Because it was just kind of irrelevant. It's like how they showed up in Italy just out of the blue, and now you're just kind of showing up following Tariq at the subway. You know, how come you guys are this well informed? And why are you so paranoid? You know, like every little move we make, you're thinking we're trying to skip town. Like we're trying to skip out on you, even though we're meeting our quotas. I don't know. So Tariq gets on the subway and he realizes that on one end and on the other end, there are Noma's guys watching him. So he now makes a break for it. And Obi confronts him and takes him back to some lair, some evil lair, to ask him what does he think that he's doing. So Tariq is trying to convince Obi now that I'm not trying to run. But Obi's like, my people told me you're trying to run. But I'm sitting here wondering, who is Obi's people? How do you know a private conversation he had with his grandmother was about that? Is there like listening devices around or something? Like, did I miss that? So Tariq tries to convince him that no, there's only product in this bag. And I guess Obi checked the bag and saw it was only product in there. So, what was Tariq's real plan then? If he had product in the bag, I'm assuming he had maybe some clothes in there as well. Who knows? And it wasn't until I was editing this video that I saw a post on Facebook in one of the Power Book 2 Ghosts communities that someone pointed out how Tariq actually elaborately set up this entire plan to make it seem like he was going to leave because he already knew that Obi had tabs on his grandmother in the first place. So he added 1 and 2 together because he figured out that, you know, they were going to think he was going to run. So he's going to use this as an opportunity to get her to safety. So you guys can kind of ignore what I said before about not knowing what the plans were, but now I know. So it all makes sense. Yeah, like I said in the last one, like, this guy is itching for a problem. Like, I don't get what it is, why he wants them to mess up so bad. And he wants to be right about, you know, one of them just not doing what they're supposed to be doing and or trying to leave or trying to screw them over. But he's got something to prove, man, like to Noma. It's interesting. So Tariq finally gets out of that tight jam with Obi and those guys. And he calls his grandma and basically tells her, look, I'm not coming anymore. But I set it up with Tamika Washington, who is one of Tariq's old attorneys. And they basically set it up where she can go with Tasha and Yaz at the safe house in witness protection. And he tells her that, yes, he knows that he needs to get out of their life and he's working on it, but she needs to do this right now. So keep in mind, it's not the end of the episode, and he's still talking about working on getting out. I mentioned before, that's a big thing for a character in a show about drugs to say. So now we get to the funeral for Lorenzo, and the family's walking in, and you have others around. Monet is just, you know, do I gotta be here? Anyways, but I gotta keep that face because I'm the one responsible, but, you know, I don't want nobody to know, whatever. You got Gordo just sitting there like, yeah, I'm in this church at a funeral for a man I deleted. Yeah, hope I don't get struck by lightning or anything. Cane is very, very upset, but Cane is keeping his composure. That's the thing about it. He knows, I'm pretty sure at this stage, he knows who did it, but he's trying to keep his composure. Diana's giving her eulogy, and it's just sad, man. You know, it makes you really, really, you know, say R.I.P. to the character. And I enjoyed the character of Lorenzo, man. I think he was cool. Like I mentioned earlier, I think he was a cool character. But to see, you know, Diana really tearing up, you know, over his death, it's really, really sad. Then we see that Jenny and Blanca are sitting in the audience with these folders that they're now using that have photos of Diana actually stashing product at the lockers. So why you would bring that to the funeral, I have no idea. So Cane, standing over Lorenzo's casket, says to him, I'm sorry that I let you down. It'll never happen again. Family first. Now, those are some powerful words to say because Cane feels responsible for this happening to his dad. So now by him saying family first, he's saying that anyone that wants to harm the family is a problem. Now, I'm not saying that Cane didn't think of Zeke as family, but obviously he's saying now that, look, what happened with Lorenzo and Zeke was an accident, a God's honest accident. But what Monet decided to do to Lorenzo was intentional. So Cane is now more than likely going to see Monet as a threat to the safety of the family. Because if you can take out Dad and you threaten to take me out many times before as well, you are now a liability to this family. And by him taking his dad's chain and putting it over his neck, he's now assuming that protector role in his mind, I should say. And he's more than likely going to go on the offensive against his mom. So we'll see how that plays out. So as these guys are bringing out the casket outside the church, the Russians pull up and they now are doing a drive-by on everyone, right? So everyone starts ducking and dodging the bullets. And, these guys are now shooting back, right? Now, the biggest thing that I found interesting about this whole scene wasn't the fact that this was happening, but it's the fact that we had two members of the law in the person of Jenny Sullivan and Blanca Rodriguez, who should be carrying, not actually a part of the gunfight themselves. Like, did they leave the church? Because I didn't see it in the previous scene, but why is it that no one of them are actually the individuals shooting at what's going on? That's what I was confused on. I was like, aren't they police? They're police. What's going on? Police the stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get it. Instead, they let the known criminals just kind of handle the shootout. So I just want to know, where did they go? Because that was weird. This was the funniest scene in the whole episode. Cane popping up the Stansfield, coming in, knock, 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 on Effie's room. Like, I told y'all, look, it's going to go down between them this season. It's going to happen. So anyways, he walks inside there, smooth operator, checking in on her. And she's like, what are you doing here? Effie, who was in the middle of literally deleting the app that they're all using to pass drugs around at Wall Street, Cane goes ahead and stops her from doing this and tells her she needs to pause and think for a second. I can still slide you some product so that you can be able to still make some money, but you can't blow up everyone else's spot because that just won't do. She seems to listen to reason, and as far as she knows right now, Cane might be her only friend in this world, next to Brayden probably. But, they're clearly setting it up for this to go down between these two. Now, Tariq and Brayden meet up, and they're basically talking about their situation. But this scene is very reminiscent of what happened between Ghost and Tommy, I think in season 5 or 6 of OG Power, where Jason was basically forcing them to work with each other and not take out each other. And these guys are basically realizing that, look, we need each other in this moment to get rid of our enemy and stay alive, right? And so let's just kind of squash whatever we got going on right now. We don't got to be boys, but we got to be business partners at a minimum. So they agree, and that's the fastest resolution I've ever seen happen on the show. So we start off with beef at the beginning of the episode. We're punching each other. Now we're squashing beef by the end of the episode. Yeah. Make it make sense. But feelings aside, they understand what they got to do. So Davis then calls Monet and tells her that the feds got the Russians who did the whole shootout at the funeral. So she's safe for now, but still you need to watch your back. So Monet is probably feeling that she's in the clear, right? Unbeknownst to her, Cane's on to her. And she walks in at home, and lo and behold, she has on the nose, I was going to say ghost, right? But I'm going to say an hallucination for now. She hallucinates seeing Lorenzo, who then tells her that I still love you, even though you took me out. But just so you know, the kids, they're going to find out, and they are. So he leaves her with that reality that she knows that's coming down the pipe. You can't avoid it. You know how this game goes. So Monet is sitting there frazzled, and I wonder if it's going to be the last time we actually see Lorenzo, because if they went ahead and showed him as an hallucination like this, I wonder if we'll keep seeing him come up and haunt her. That would be funny, and probably get to see different sides of her, and probably her freaking out in the midst of other people, and they starting to catch on to her guilt. But anyways, everyone, that is the recap of Power Book 2 Go, Season 3, Episode 6, called The Land of Lies. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, guys. Peace.